Hi, my name is Rafael Baciak, and today in the series Exponential Economy, we'll be talking about Black Swan events. Where does the name come from and what is it all about? You will find out in the next part. See you after the break. What are Black Swan events? The whole name Black Swans come actually from a saying in ancient Rome. And black swans meant generally something that is non-existent, because until then, every observed swan was a white swan, apparently. So black swans were a synonym for something that just doesn't exist. And this expression was used in that meaning for a long time, almost 2000 years. In 17th century in London, it was still used as a synonym for impossibility. Not only something non-existent, but something just not possible, right? Because, as I said, every swan that anybody in the Western world observed until then was a white swan. So black swan was just impossible thing, right? Then something completely unexpected happened at the end of 17th century in 1697. The Dutch explorer Willem de Vlaming was the first European who observed black swans in Western Australia. Until then, people thought only white swans were possible. There were only white swans in the world. But it turned out in 1697 that also black swans were possible and existent in the world, on the other side of the world, so to say. And then the meaning of the expression black swan started to change, started to evolve, and it started to mean the notion that a perceived impossibility may later be disproven, that something may be perceived impossible and then turned out to be possible. And in 19th century, in his works, John Stuart Mill started to use the expression black swan as a synonym for scientific falsification, meaning for the process of disapproving a theory, a scientific theory that until then was valid or was perceived as a valid theory and got falsified by new facts that came up or by new data. And then we come to the recent meaning of the term black swan, and it is connected to exponential economy. And the recent meaning comes from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, who introduced that notion of black swan in his book in 2001, Fooled by Randomness, and then in 2007 he actually described the full black swan theory and black swan events. And this is this book, the Black Swan, 2007. And this somehow changed a perception on economy and later also on other aspects of life in respect to black swans. So what is a black swan in the new meaning? The black swan in the meaning that we use now is an event that is absolutely unexpected but has a humongous impact on the world, on our reality. And I will quote something from his book. He writes 3 conditions or 3 attributes of a black swan event. First, it is an outlier, as it lies outside the realm of regular expectations, because nothing in the past can convincingly point to its possibility. Second, it carries an extreme impact. Third, in spite of its outlier status, human nature makes us concoct explanations for its occurrence after the fact, making it explainable and predictable. And what are the examples of black swans? Nothing gives us examples like World War II or let's say 9/11. They are typical examples of black swans, meaning events that nobody has predicted, that nobody would perceive, would think possible. But black swans don't need to be negative. They can also be positive events, like let's say the upcoming of internet, like the invention of personal computer and the solution of the Soviet Union. The interesting thing is the major events in the world that shape our world, our reality today and our future are actually black swans, not the regular events or not the events that are predictable, that were predicted, not the linear evolution, but the black swans, the unexpected events with huge impact. And Nassim Nicholas Taleb gives a lot of examples of black swans in his book and proves that actually almost everything in our world happened in the course of a black swan. That every major breakthrough, every major quantum leap in the world, in the one or the other direction, comes from a black swan. And also in the economy, it is extremely important to take black swans under consideration. But because they are unpredictable, you don't know what a black swan could be, but you can avoid the impact of black swans by making your systems more robust. Also your financial portfolio, your assets, making it more robust to any unexpected events. And once again, I will give to you the three criteria for a black swan. The first is that this is a surprise. The second, that the event has a major effect. And the third, that after the event happened, it is then rationalized by hindsight. And it is thought after the event as if it could have been somehow expected. Because all the data was available, but it wasn't just accounted for. And the same is for the personal perception by individuals. Now you may ask yourself, is COVID-19 a black swan? And the answer is actually no. COVID-19 is not a black swan. It is so-called white swan. Why? Because it just doesn't satisfy the first condition. The second condition, the third, yes, the event has a major effect. But the first condition, it is not really a surprise, because there were many predictions, many even plans for epidemics or pandemics like that. What you may consider a black swan is maybe some of the governmental reactions to this pandemics or to this event. And some of them are really unprecedented and maybe even unexpected. So these may be, let's say, little black swans. And the same is with, let's say, if an asteroid would hit the Earth, this is also not a black swan. It would be a white swan, because we know about many impacts of asteroids in the past, and we know the probabilities more or less, so it is not something unexpected, not something unprecedented. I would like to invite you to leave some comments below this video about another examples of black swans that you may know from politics, maybe from science, but in the first place from the economy. Let's also discuss about how can we use that knowledge about black swans in our businesses. How can we protect from black swans, or maybe even how can we take advantage of black swans? And before I will end this video, I will give you one more thing, and this is the relativity of black swans. If something is a black swan, depends also on the perception, on the perspective. Let's take a turkey that is slaughtered or that is butchered at some time, and for the turkey this event is a black swan event, but not for the butcher. For the butcher it is a plan. So how can you in this respect, or taking that under consideration, how can you protect from a black swan? By avoiding to be the turkey. So I hope you like this video. If yes, give me a thumb up. If not, of course, thumb down. Subscribe if you haven't, but more important, subscribe to the newsletter. Below the video there is a link to get informed about the new videos, about maybe live events, about interviews with me, about me, and other events around the topic of exponential economy. Share this video with your loved ones, with your friends. One day they will thank you for that. I talk here a lot about exponential economy, or economy in general, about money, about cryptocurrencies, about the best entrepreneurs in our world, about the self-made billionaires that I cope with on everyday basis. I talk here also about doing great impossible things in your life and business. So if you like this video, you will certainly like my other videos. I invite you to watch them. That's it for today. I wish you a fantastic day. Let's do something extraordinary today.